So if you watch the first Supercharged introduction, you were probably left on a little bit of a cliffhanger, and it was slightly my intention, quite simply to explain where I've come from. Because look, so many people so often look at people that are, let's say, crushing it and move forward in life and successful in an area, and they think they've always been successful. Now, just for the record, like, I have those days I don't feel successful. I have those days I feel like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Because, and I want to tell you that because that's real life and that is completely normal. Now, one of the things I want to be within this series of Supercharge Your Life is honest with my life to help you with your life. And again, the feedback I get off people from hearing the truth, hearing the struggles, hearing, you know, the days that literally have exploded and you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. And also hearing how you get through these times and still move forward. The feedback I get is insane. And I mean this truly, like, it literally pulls at my heart when people message me, a big long message explaining how the podcasts that we've done have changed their views and changed their thoughts. I'm actually going to obviously blank out the names, but I'm actually going to share some of these things because they are so powerful, and it is insane to understand that this can happen. Like, I always call these types of people ghost followers, where they will follow you for a long time and you don't know they're following you, hence the ghost. And then all of a sudden they will message you something that you're like, wow, fuck, I did not realize I was making that much of an impact. And I'll be honest, they are the people that remind me that I'm doing the right thing by sharing these things. So look, today, bit of a trigger warning, obviously, but I'm going to go deep into, my story, if you like, for let's say the pivotal moment of my life that changed my life. And quite simply, to give you a slight backstory before that point, like, as a kid, I was always the clown of the class. I was always doing things extreme, and if somebody did something extreme, I went further than they went, and I always wanted to be center of attention. And I struggled at school. I couldn't ever focus. I was really struggling to ever feel successful at school. But I was also surrounded by, because I had lots of different friend groups, some of the friend groups that I remember, like, walked out with straight A's, from school. And because I was around these people, I was trying to be like them, but I couldn't. And it was always a frustration of mine because, as a young person, you don't understand, you don't know what it is. So look, I always got into trouble. I always fought, like, we was fighting at school, and that's why I went to school. So stupidly, my attendance record was good because I was always there fighting until I obviously got expelled. But as I went through school, that was always a struggle. I then got kicked out of school. I wasn't able to do my GCSEs, and obviously I left school feeling a complete failure. I then went into quite a period of trying to do sport because that was where I wanted to go at college, and I was in and out of this whole, like, do I want to do that, or do I want to, like, ultimately doss around on the streets? So I was battling that sort of life, drinking at weekends, different girlfriends, this, that, and the other, just living a young male's life of somebody that lives in a town or a city, let's say. And I was leading this life, and it wasn't really going anywhere. I was in and out of getting into trouble, and around my area, it was quite simply, the area I grew up in was, you either fight or you get beat up. And it was that mentality of, like, a lion mentality, if you like. You have to show that you're powerful, otherwise you're going to get bullied and beat up. So I become that person, and then obviously started then being, using my fists instead of my mouth, and it got me into a lot of shit. But look, I then went into the army. In the army, I found myself, realized that I was so much more capable of doing things, and other than going in with no GCSEs and paying somebody to do my exam for me to actually get in the army, short story, everyone has a bald head when you go into the army, obviously, because they shave your hair, and because my army card had a bald head, and so did we all. I gave it to someone else and paid him 50 quid to do my exams. But look, these are the things we can laugh about now, right? I was determined to get into the army. I got into the army, and quite simply was doing insane, right? It was me. It was where I should have been, and everything else. Feeling like I was being disciplined and actually succeeding it didn't sound right, and it doesn't sound like the right thing to have been happening, because I was, against rules, against the world, if you like. Then all of a sudden I was next thing like the best soldier. I actually won Soldier Award as well, which is something that I look back at and I'm proud of. And I did a ton of things, right? But look, fast forward to me later on in my career, realizing that I got injured, and I didn't know at the time, but now I look back and realize I was being bullied. I ended up having a toe to toe with an NCO. It went really, really shit, and then I ended up grabbing him, throwing him over a desk, and then trying to strangle him. Not literally, but I lost my shit with him. I lost my temper. And that was all because I was in a position where I was feeling depressed. I was down. I didn't want to be on that injury troop. And I was letting things externally get me down because I wasn't being sparked by this something good to do. And then after that, I went AWOL, I drank and took drugs, and ended up coming back onto camp and then being kicked out of the army. And, I was injured and I was already getting medically discharged, but because I then did this, it was a faster way out. Not obviously the way I really wanted to go, but it was something that was because of the pressure. And look, I tell you this story because after that, I then went into, severe depression. I went into searching for highs all the time. Again, taking drugs, drinking alcohol, having fights, and lots of different things happening. I then ended up finding myself behind bars because simple fact that I was always looking for that fight, that spark, that thing, that focus, and that dopamine hit, if you want to put it like that. But when I look back now, and now I understand what I do, I was diagnosed with bipolar after the army, and obviously that, as a young man, hit me hard. I didn't really know how to take it, didn't know what to do, and I was, again, another reason for feeling like a failure. From then, I lived this life of bipolar, and it really didn't serve me well. Years later, I then find out it's ADHD, and, let's be honest, it doesn't matter what it's called. But if you're trying to understand your actions, your life, and the direction you're going, everything else, it's really important to know, what the triggers are and what's happening, so you're able to manage things and put the right things in place, as opposed to always allowing your feelings and emotions to take you down a different route. And that's, from feeling like I was bipolar to then realizing ADHD, it's allowed me to reflect backwards and actually understand the whole of my life. All the things I've done. Yes, some of them are funny. Yes, some of them are ridiculous. Yes, some of them are really bad. But it helps me understand all these things. And it's been able to help me now puzzle my life together. And that is, why I set up LMX. Because other than me a while back being obsessed with strongman and wanting to be the strongest man I could possibly be, and, being very good at doing it and getting where I got, I realized that being too obsessed with that then led me down a path of neglecting other things. And again, me being the person I am, if I'm obsessed with something, everything else gets blanked out and I don't see things. And that was the problem I was having up until a couple of years back. Hence why I changed my life. I re-looked into personal development, although I've done it for years anyway, but I took a different approach. I got with different mentors and had a different, look at things within my life, and then really started to straighten things out. We are always going to have struggles regardless where you are in life, who you are, what you do. And that is why, look, there is so many billionaires having a really shit life. And there are also so many people that let's just say, don't have much money, living an amazing life. The reason between those two is because it's how you live your life. It's not about what you have in your life. And when you come to realize that, it is a complete game changer. I, for a very long time, again, was very materialistic and wanted the best things, this, that, and the other. You know, I still have something of that now, quite simply because I like nice things, but there's a different reason behind it. And again, it's understanding these things and puzzling them together. And that's why I share these with you, because there are so many people that go through these things and never understand which way out, or never understand how to manage it and be accepted, because that is the problem, right? I never felt accepted in my surroundings. I'm still the loudmouth. I'm still the person that says things how they are. I'm still the person that if I want something and I get obsessed, I'll go and get it, because that is part of my characteristics. But it's about managing the ways that we do these things. And that has been the key factor for me. And that's why I now coach that on LMX, that understand. I mean, obviously there's lots of layers to it, but I coach that understanding of how we can take control of our life and create the life that we want. So look, the big lesson here, and the reason I wanted to explain this story to you, is to remind you that people are not successful from the off. And I well believe, my opinion, obviously, that the best people come from the struggles. Because if you are the type of person that, let's just paint a picture, that your father or mother or whatever gave you a car, they gave you a business, they did everything for you, you lived in their house for until you was literally with a partner that you then moved in with. You are not as conditioned to life as life will throw at you when you come out the back of that. And I'm a massive believer in that. And that's why with my children, I'm very much letting them pick themselves up when they fall over. You know, there's having that difference between the love and connection that you need to give your children, but also the hard sort of faced side of you fell over, stand up, and then you move forward. You know, it's about understanding that in life, things are not given to you. And that's why I push so much about this, taking action, because it's so fucking true. It's unbelievable. It's one of the most simple things you could possibly say to yourself, but the amount of people that expect things without realizing they're expecting it is insane. You need to take control of your life, and you need to focus on the next steps in your life. It's one of the things that I do in LMX, where we focus on the next 90 days. And it simply is about making sure that people know what they are achieving over the next 90 days. They set the plan out and then they tick it off as they go through. And again, that is how I look at moving through life, because so many things change so often. And if we are not taking the steps on moving forward, it will constantly feel like a battle, and we're not accepted. We're, always low in motivation. We're not as successful as the successful people, and all these different feelings that we get. So that is the end of today's podcast. I hope you enjoyed that little insight. And again, I want to make sure you walk away with nuggets. So today, think about the person that you are right now. If you could create, let's say, 3 to 5 changes within your life and the person you are, what would they be? And to give you some idea of what I mean by that is, what is some directional areas you could change in your life, like within your job, if you're self-employed, within whatever type of direction you're going, your general daily purpose. And then also emotionally, like how could you connect with people better than you do right now? How could you spend more time with people? And try and think about, like, when you think of the 3 to 5 things, like think about them, feel them, vision them, and see what you would feel like as that person. And if they feel right and they feel the thing you want to do, the question is, how do we get you there next? But stay tuned for the rest of the series. I'm going to keep these going every single week, so you have got something to absorb, understand, and take action with.